everybody hear me?
Yes.
Welcome to what is going to be the beginning of the series of our regular monthly RoRo Management Resident Forums. This is the first one we've had for quite a while, and welcome to all of you. My name is Fred Green. I'm Vice President of RoRo. I'm taking the place of our normal forum leader this morning because he's out of town on vacation. But without any further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Brant and the department heads. At the end, we'll have questions and answers.
All right, thank you, Fred, and good morning. It is great to be back at Resident Forum. We went and looked. Our last Resident Forum was back in the month of March, and so it's been a little bit of a hiatus here, and it is wonderful to see you back and joining us this morning. To get us started, I've asked Sandra to present a culture moment. Sandra.
Good morning. I'm Sandra Navaco. I'm the Human Resources Director, and I want to talk about Extraordinary Impressions, which is a new program that, as part of our LCS transition, it comes along with LCS. And we are extremely excited about it because we truly feel it aligns with our culture. But a little bit about it. So every employee has 10 hospitality promises. The program really focuses on the hospitality piece versus the customer service piece. So these hospitality promises are going to be part of our employees' everyday mission to provide the services to our residents. So I do have one here. You'll see these posted. These will be in the break rooms. This one right here is hospitality promise number 6. And simple as, we make you feel important. Along with this new rollout, we also have a recognition piece for our employees as well. So you will have the opportunity to complete recognition for our employees when you spot them doing one of the 10 hospitality promises. So one person we recognize every month, similar to how we did previously, but this is, I feel it's a better program. And we will post these also in the break room so our employees can read them and see the recognition from you guys that you're sharing with us. So we are really excited about this program. It should be rolling out later this month, so stay tuned for more information and an opportunity to recognize our staff.
All right, and now we're going to start the administrative reports, and for those new residents or those of you who haven't been here in so long and may have forgotten the process, every month we start with administrative reports from each of the departments, giving you an update of what's happened over the course of the last 30 days before we open it up for questions and answers. So I'll go ahead and get started. Regency Oaks has established a compliance and ethics program here at the community, and we have appointed Jesse Rosalie as our compliance officer. Jesse has great transparency. He has incredible integrity. He seemed like just the perfect choice for someone to lead up this program. As part of that process, we will post 1-800 numbers available to families, friends, visitors, residents, associates, so that if you become aware of an unethical issue, practice, or procedure, you have the opportunity to report it anonymously. We are committed to ethical behavior and a corporate position of showing integrity and transparency. So this is a formalized program. It's something that we previously didn't have with Brookdale, and we're pretty excited to roll that out as well. We have just this week completed our 2020 operational and capital budgets. I want to recognize the outstanding work that Sherry has put in and the incredible number of long hours. I leave usually at 6:30, and there were many nights where she was burning the midnight oil. So thank you for your efforts, and Sherry just did a wonderful job of presenting and preparing our budget. We submitted it to the regional divisional level, and so Mary Mackey and Jill Sorensen, the two operational VPs, and then the regional and divisional teams. The next step is for Jill and Mary to turn around and present it to Chris Bird and Joel Nelson. That's the higher level corporate consideration. That is going on today. And then at some point next week, they will turn around and present it to HealthPeak, the owner-operator, for their approval. Once the entire thing has been approved, we will come back and share it first with our resident boards and then with the residents themselves. So that is underway. Friday, a week ago, we had the opportunity to recognize Lucy Nolan. Lucy, every year we have the top salesman competition within the division. There's 17 CCRCs within the division last year for Brookdale, and for 7 consecutive years, Lucy had been the runner-up, the number 2 person in terms of total sales. This year, for the first time ever, Lucy was the number 1 salesperson in the entire company. So we felt really bad for Lucy because what's happened in the past is the top salesmen, they're called the Chairman's Club. They usually went on a cruise or went to Mexico or went somewhere exciting and did a celebration, and they got to be away and recognized for 3 days, and all the division VPs attended and really made a big fuss over that accomplishment. Well, because of COVID this year, it all got canceled. So Perry was able to put together a great celebration Friday a week ago. We all went down to the Vinoy, had a wonderful dinner, awards banquet, and we were able to duly recognize Lucy for her accomplishment. So if you see Lucy, please take a minute to recognize her and congratulate her on just an outstanding year. The community has moved into phase 3 of our reopening plan, as all of you are aware. And so we're really excited about the go forward plan. I know you've got to be excited as well. I've had so many residents express their appreciation in finally being able to reopen the side doors and give you untethered access. The only caution, I had 2 things that I wanted to share. The only caution is please continue to have your visitors, your families, your guests check in at the front desk, make sure that they are completing the screening questionnaire, that we're getting their temperatures checked, and that visitation is by appointment. Controlling the access to the community in the next 2 or 3 weeks is really going to be critical to helping to maintain our safety and to ensure that we don't have a COVID outbreak or that the virus gets loose on the campus. So we're excited moving forward. We're comfortable with our plans. We have put in place the safety measures to protect residents, and we've figured out how to maintain social distancing as we return to normal operations. So continue to be diligent and supportive, and we'll get through this together. The Town Hall and Wellness Center expansion. We had the first design meeting yesterday. I was able to attend virtually, and so I have looked at, they were able to share the first conceptual drawing. And the first conceptual drawing is the existing drawing. So you may recall that with Brookdale and the previous architects, there were a couple of renderings that had been done by a previous management team. They didn't start from there. They started from the existing blueprint, and they're going to build forward from that. So I support that approach. I think that's the right way to do it. It allows the design team to take input from the community. You will recall that Lou Weislogle led a Blue Ribbon community organization to go forward with the plan, and so we have shared that information with the design team. So there's really not much to report right now, other than you probably have been watching all week as they are coming out and doing soil sampling and tying white ribbons around all the trees and doing some survey processes. And so at this point, this is early in the process, but they are out there doing that work, and I will keep you updated as we move forward and get additional information to share. The exterior painting is winding down, and the goal is, weather permitting, we should be able to finish in the month of October. There are a couple of storms that are threatening. We don't believe that they will be a direct threat to Regency Oaks, but those are developing out in the Gulf, and this has been quite a crazy season for hurricanes, and most of them have veered away from Tampa Bay and our Gulf Coast, and up in Louisiana and Texas, they've been hit pretty hard, and it looks like these next two are headed that way as well. So we'll just continue to monitor the storms, and the heavy rain does impact the painting, but we're in no rush. We want to make sure we get it done right, and so far, the feedback I've gotten from residents is that the buildings are looking really good. We also got news on the bus. It is scheduled to roll off the interior finishes line on the 15th of October. They will license it, put whatever decals they're going to put on it, and should have it on our campus before the end of the month. So the new bus that we've ordered twice and have been waiting on for over 2 years is finally about to become a reality. And I keep saying, can you send me a picture? I just don't know if I can believe you unless I actually see a picture. And so I think it's going to happen. All right, I think that's all I will share for this morning, and I'm going to turn it over to Sharon.
Great. Thank you, Brent. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Sherry Schoitzo, and I am the Director of Financial Services. Thank you for coming today. My financial report today is on our financials for the month of August. As you know, I'm always a month behind on some of the other reports. Currently, as of today, we're working on closing the books for September. Therefore, our total revenue for the campus in August was slightly under budget, $29,000. However, year-to-date, our total revenue is ahead of budget by $329,000. The reason for this is we did receive stimulus funds, and year-to-date, those dollars are $778,000 that has been recognized in revenue. For the month of August, we had 3 entrance fee sales on a budget of 4. Moving on to our expenses. For total compensation, which is our wages, benefits, and payroll taxes, we were under budget by $35,000. Our total non-wage expenses, which are expenses that the departments spend on their budget, were over budget by $116,000. One of those expenses, which was a little over $150,000, was actually an insurance reserve estimate, which is an accounting entry. It had nothing really to do with our departmental spending. Plant was over by about $33,000. We did have a significant increase in our air conditioning repairs, and we are reviewing those month over month to see what the best course of action is to limit those expenses. Dining services did run over budget about $23,000, but that was due to the COVID supplies that we had to purchase, and mainly that's for our paper products, individual packets, and chemical and cleaning supplies to keep the deliveries and you all safe, and the ability to deliver to your apartments. So we do continue to meet weekly, the department heads, myself, Brant, and the key leadership team to review our expenses and make sure we're managing to our budget. Our net operating income was positive at $179,000. It was under budget by $165,000. However, year to date, our net operating income is ahead of budget by $170,000. So as I've reported, the community has incurred revenue losses due to lower census in the health center, one sale under budget, and we have had some increased expenses, obviously due to COVID. We do expect this to happen through the rest of 2020. However, the community has no significant threats or weaknesses at this time. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Gerard Dayhill. He is our healthcare administrator.
Can you guys hear me okay? I don't think I need the microphone. Yes. Brand tells me I have a big mouth. So, I don't know. Just to get started, do you want me to use the mic? Okay, sure.
Okay, here we go. Just getting started at the health center in August, right at the end of August. You might recall we had a little outbreak with COVID. We wound up having 5 residents that came down with it. The good news with that was we were able to contain it to just those 5. We really stepped up our efforts on the enforcement side, on the people coming into the facility. We went to weekly testing, both with residents and associates, and we were able to get past that. So we've had no cases of residents since then. We've had a couple of our employees, but their contact with residents was minimal, and so we've gotten past that. So the weekly testing that concluded about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, has got to the point where we had no residents, no associates who have been positive. So we're really, really happy with that. Other things in the month is we've expanded the number of observation beds or in the health center in Smith. What those observation beds are, those are the beds that we designate for new admissions coming in from the hospital. So by expanding that, we're able to increase the census. And those beds have to be in private rooms. So 14 is about the most we can do logistically in the unit. And that's what cramps our census. So when Sherry talks about the bed census in the health center, that's what's causing it, is that we have these observation rooms that are being designated and we can't use them for semi-private rooms right now. But on the positive side, we have increased the census. We had it up to 45. It's 44 this morning with possibly 3 admissions coming in today. So we're really going to be at our max today, even though managed care is discharging 4 next week. So that's the constant back and forth we go through with managed care admissions. We did reopen the health center on a limited basis to visitation. We're really happy with that. We have visitation appointments going on now. We ask that you call for a reservation, call for appointment time, much like Brent was saying here on the IL. That's part of the requirement that the state spelled out, the governor in his emergency rule, when he put that back into effect. For you guys who might be in the room who have done that, I want to thank you. The visits have been going really, really smoothly. Families are complying with it. We're giving them as much private time as possible in the conference room. Now that the weather's gotten a lot better, we can expand it now and use the outdoor patio area. So we're kind of balancing between the conference room, and if you want to do the outside patio area, we can make that happen when you do your visit. So that's kind of a nice spot to visit with the loved ones, and families are appreciating that. We had a infection control survey from ACA for 1 full day on September the 3rd, and that went really well. There was no deficiencies at all. They were very happy with everything we did. In fact, they thought we might have been a little overzealous with some of the signs and that kind of stuff, but they never cited anything. They felt we were doing really a good job of containing everything, so we were happy to hear that. And that's basically it. It was a good month. We still maintain a 5-star rating over the health center, and we're real proud of that. And as soon as the visiting restrictions are able to loosen up from Tallahassee, we will immediately put that into place and expand the visitation going forward. We do have beauty parlor services starting next week. I don't have an exact date yet. It's probably going to be Wednesday. I'm just waiting for a confirmation back from the beautician. But that'll be 3 days a week or possibly 4 days a week starting next week. So I know residents are real happy with that. We're going to be putting flyers up. And you'll probably, once we know the exact date, we'll put a phone call out to the family members so they know about it. And that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
My husband was one of the 5 people,
Okay.
and he was at Carrington, and they brought him back here. At Carrington, they gave him a negative report. When I got back to Sylvan, they obviously didn't do any testing for negative on him. So consequently, we went to the doctor's office yesterday, and because we didn't have a second negative, we had to leave. And now I have to find a way to get a second negative. Now, I know that the protocol doesn't include that, but it should.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I don't know the specifics with him. You call us later, and I'll get with Ellen, and we'll work something out. Actually, the protocols now, and this is not ours, it's not the health center's protocols, it's CDC protocols. In fact, when someone is tested positive now, after they go through the 14-day period, they don't get tested again. So-
Consequently, I don't have my second negative.
Right.
Which created a big problem for me.
Right, okay. Call us later, let's get with Ellen, and let's see if we can get an order and get that settled up for you. But there's no requirement now for a second negative, and I think what's happening out, and so that you all know too, you got a lot of physicians' offices and places fudging the rules and making up their own stuff as they go along. And they got a lot of misinformation out there. There really is no requirement for a second negative. The other thing that we've learned, and speaking to some of the doctors that come out to the facility, is those rapid tests, sounding about what you're talking about. Not that I'm dismissing them, but those rapid tests are only really good, I shouldn't say good, but they're only reliable if they give a positive result. If you get a negative result, you're only supposed to not really take it that strongly. When you get a positive result from the physicians, Dr. Janicki and several others I've talked to, you can rely on the positive result. So if we have a resident that has some symptoms going on, we'll do the rapid result, we'll do the rapid test. If the test comes back positive, we can pretty much put it to the bank that they have it. If it comes back negative, you're really not it's really not that decisive. It might be like 60, 85% you can rely on. You really can't rely on those rapid tests too much. So that might be the test you got a negative that isn't what you're probably looking for is another swab test that you can be definitive about. But we'll call us later, or call either myself or Ellen later, and we'll help you out, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard. Good morning. I'm Lauren Rose, Director of Administrative Services, and I'm very excited that fall is in the air. It doesn't last all day, but I'll take what we get in the mornings. In administration, we continue to take temperatures of anyone entering the building and typing the daily temperature logs for the tracking purposes. Administration hosted the welcome table at the Regency Oaks monthly experience at the tailgate event. We are tracking flu shots, so if you have gotten a flu shot and it wasn't at our flu shot clinic here, please let the front desk know. We are working towards our successful herd inoculation again this year. We have scheduled appointments or visits for residents. If you have family members that want to come and visit you, please call the front desk and we can set up an appointment, a time for them to come and visit with you. We've hired a new full-time receptionist for the health center, and we have also hired a part-time receptionist for Independent. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Ricky.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a couple updates. Ricky Baca, Food and Beverage Director. The opening of the tavern, long overdue. The opening of the tavern to a full menu for breakfast and dinner. Opening the dining rooms to 50%. Slowly expanding the dining menu. And the hiring of dining room servers. Thank you, John. This coming Saturday, what we're going to be doing in the north and the south is that we're going to be doing the pickups at 3:30. So we're excited about that because it'll give us a little bit more time to work through all the pickups in the north and the south. And then once again, that will start tomorrow. The tavern menu next week will be at the front desk, and we'll also get them in the mailboxes so you can see what the tavern offerings are. And then the following week, it'll be on the back of the week at a glance. So it'll be a front and back. We're also going to try to offer the left side of the menu for the pickup folks for delivery, pickup and delivery on October 12th. And also we have the anniversary dinner coming up. If you do not go to the dining rooms, we'll be doing a free delivery for you folks. The menu is shrimp cocktail. The first course will be a roasted parsnip and cauliflower soup with buttered croutons. The second course will be mixed greens with hearts of palms, candied walnuts, heirloom tomatoes, blue cheese, and a house dressing. We'll have 2 entrees, carved beef tenderloin Oscar, so that's topped with asparagus tips, crab meat, and hollandaise sauce. Then we'll be offering a macadamia nut-crusted hogfish. The sides will be horseradish and chive mashed potato, rice, roasted baby zucchini, and buttered carrots. And then last, don't miss out on this, Johnny's favorite, Bananas Foster's cheesecake. There you go. I knew I'd get a rise out of everyone there. And then the sugar-free dessert, of course. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Pass the mic down.
Oh.
Sorry, I got it. Paid no attention, sorry.
Morning, everyone. My name is Lauro Perez, Plan Operations Director. I got a couple of updates for you here. In our building, we changed an exhaust fans for the cooling tower number 2. And stairs, one staircase on South Building. In North Building, we add emergency lights, battery operated, so that in case the power goes off and the generators don't work, they'll be lit up. Also, on the condensation regulating pump on North Building, that was replaced too. All right, thank you, and turn it over to Perry.
Good morning, happy Friday. I'm Perry from Sales and Marketing. We had a pretty busy September in terms of activity, things that we were doing. Help if I can read it. We conducted a road show in Brooksville, about an hour north of here. We had 16 participants that came and had lunch with us. We then had a follow-up tour, which was earlier this week, and we had 6 people come down. We had 8 that had planned on it, but schedule-wise, 2 will have to come at a later time on their own. We've also had an e-blast that went out to our database. That's about 2,200 names, email addresses in our database. Specifically, that was directed at Hamilton and Franklin units, which is what the larger part of our availability currently is. And then also this month, we had a mail list that we purchased, that we had 7,000 addresses that we sent a postcard to, talking about some availability and opportunities in the fourth quarter now to get it closed. And that went to zip codes and to residents and the criteria that we designed that fits with what our resident population is. And that went to Palm Harbor, Spring Hill, Brooksville, and in sort of the immediate area surrounding us. We had 4 closings in September. I'll talk about some of those residents that are joining us in just a moment. And we also had 40 visits, Lucy, Pam, and Judy, between home visits, personal visits, virtual visits, just activity of things that they were trying to do. We had 40 visits in September, and we had 8 deco meetings with Barb. Residents coming in, picking out how they want their new home to look. Before I talk about some of the residents, I just want to remind everyone again that we do have a wonderful referral. Some of you have taken advantage of that. Right now, the resident referral is $5,000. So if you have someone that you know would be a great fit, a great addition to our family here, we'd love for you to let us know so that we can be working on that. But that's a great way to get a $5,000, I believe it's a credit to the monthly statement. So keep that in mind and let us know if you have anyone that we can talk to on your behalf. We appreciate those referrals. I mentioned about some of the folks that have moved in. We've had Jacob and Carol Reisinger that have moved in. They are in the South Building in the N Wing. We have Emilio and Suzanne Petty. They've just moved in the last couple of days. They'll be in the North Building, North Building, the M Wing. And we have Dorothy Ryan, who just moved in yesterday. She's in the South Building in the N Wing. And we have Lauren and Ann Preston that also closed with us this past month. They will be moving in later on in the month. So you'll see, of course, the new residents are in their isolation until that time period passes by. But wonderful people. I think they're going to be great additions to the resident family here. And when you see them, be sure to welcome them as you always do. And again, I really appreciate everyone's helpfulness and everything that we do. And back to Lucy, when you see Lucy, just say a little congratulations to her. She always does, but did particularly last year, a fantastic job. Thank you all.
Good morning again. So in Human Resources, for that month of September, we rolled out our new Extraordinary Impressions model with our management team. We've also begun planning employee holiday events with safety restrictions in place, so that we'll still be able to celebrate throughout the holiday season. We've also onboarded the current management team at the health center, and we rolled out the flu shot promotions with staff and are currently collecting any flu shots for our staff members and tracking that as well. Thank you, and I'm going to hand it over to Tiffany.
It's magic. In resident programs, we had our evening entertainment featuring, oh, hello. Look at that, it's my Van White. Now I'm official. There you go. We had our evening entertainment featuring Lonnie. I know he's always a fan favorite. Our voting information tables, thanks to Robin, as well as Bill Hendry and Andrea. Thank you so much for your hard work. We had our wonderful Sangria Wine Night featuring our calligrapher. Any person that attended, it was wonderful. Our month full of great courses and great decisions, that's back, so we're very excited. Thank you, Ruth Ann and Nelson. Our Grandparents' Day Ice Cream Social in the Breezeway. Tom Davis came out, and we had a rock and roll and country. Ginger came out as well, so that was great. Our RO football experience was a success, featuring the Boomer Band, and the Jammers have returned. So if anything, programs is back and rolling. We hope you're having a good time. If you have any suggestions or anything along those lines, you can always contact myself or Ginger. Thank you. And I'm going to give it back to Brian.
All right. So that concludes our administrative report. And Fred, we're going to kick it back to you for Q&A.
I need a volunteer or two to put the microphones out.
Perry will help. Fred?
Chris?
Fred Perry is going to help.
Chris, I'm
Oh, good, Barry, thank you. Any questions?
As this goes to Ricky, how many days in advance can you reserve the tavern?
That'll be 2 days.
Can we repeat?
2 days. Oh, the question was how many days can you reserve the tavern in advance? It's 2 days.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
In previous times, can you hear me? No, okay. Okay, when we were Brookdale, we could get these cards that we could commend an employee, and I think our employees are fabulous. When do we restore those? That we could write a little blurb if somebody deserves?
Yes, so the postings and everything will roll out next week, so probably the week after, the recognition cards will be available for residents.
Where will they be?
They're going to be, I believe we're planning on putting them in the mail area. We'll put we'll add flyers or we'll add to the Tuesday Talk notes so that you will be aware of where they're at.
Question back there.
I wouldn't make it very much on the Lori Pilgrim show.
One thing I was wondering is, you were asking us all to go down and do our temperature every day. Are you still wanting us to go down and do our temperature every day?
So we continue to believe that temperature, changes in temperature is the best early indicator of COVID. And so we encourage all residents, particularly if you have comorbidities, to continue to have your temperature checked on a daily basis or when you leave the community and return. All of our staff is still required to have temperatures checked every single day, and we encourage you to do that as well.
When can we expect full housekeeping services to come back on a weekly basis?
So the question is, when can we expect full housekeeping services back on a weekly basis? And right now we have it broken down into every other week. You get a complete service, but you only get a portion of it one week and the second portion the next week. And so our overall approach has been and will continue to be a very slow, gradual, cautious return to normalcy. And so we are very excited to be able to now provide full housekeeping services, but we're going to do that at least through the month of October, and then in November, if everything has gone well, we will look at bringing back full weekly housekeeping services.
I'd like to know if we could get some more shopping carts. The two that we have, I've only seen one of them recently, and they both needed new wheels. Yes. And we could use at least two more to accommodate people. You go out there with all your groceries and nothing to carry. Also, another thing, I've had a request for over a month now to have a picture hung. I don't think that's a very good track record here.
So two things. The first question has to do with shopping carts, and just yesterday at our stand-up meeting, we addressed that. We noticed that the luggage carts and the shopping carts seem not to be in the service area. We have 4 or 5 of the luggage carts. We have 7 or 8 of the shopping carts. So we are looking to see if we can't find all those carts. Once we get them corralled and returned back to the service area, if there are some that need to be replaced, we absolutely are happy to do that. But we noticed that as well, is particularly the north building, there wasn't a single shopping cart, there wasn't a single luggage cart. So we're in the process of trying to run those down.
Well, I can help you with that. The people that have had air conditioning problems, and I'm one of them, I've needed the carts to put, I've got 2 to put my clothes on. They have fixed the closet. I'm waiting for them to replace the ceiling, which I doubt that'll ever happen. So I'm starting to put stuff back in the closet, and my house looks like a thrift store.
So that sort of relates to the second part of your question, and that's why is it taking so long to get a picture hung? And so we are still on work order restrictions. Darwin and his team have not been released to do work orders inside your apartment, with the exception of air conditioner, electrical, plumbing. Those are the only work orders that we're allowing them to do at this point. Now I can share a bit of good news with you. There are 2 things that we have asked for this week, and one is to release our maintenance team to go back to work orders, and the second thing is to change the quarantine policy for residents. Now, we have submitted those. We are awaiting approval. We don't anticipate getting an approval until probably Tuesday of next week. But as soon as we get those approvals, those are the next 2 steps in reopening the community.
I have 2 questions. Brian, at one point, Leslie said on television that in order to get the looser quarantine, you had to have 30 days consecutive temperature taken at the front desk. Does it have to be consecutive, or could it be like 5 out of the 7?
So the question is, if you're on a loose quarantine, our practice was you could be put on a loose quarantine as long as you had a 30-day history of temperature checks, and that it needed to be pretty consecutive. I think a better word is pretty consistent. If you have 27 of the last 30 days, that's close enough. If you have 3 out of the last 30 days, that's not close enough. And I don't want to speak too much about quarantines because it is going to significantly change next week if we get the approvals. So I don't want to focus too much energy on it, but I think that maybe explains it.
And the other one, Darwin, you mentioned the battery lights in the stairwell. Have they been put in?
They've been installed already.
And can you sort of describe which stairwell in both the north and the south building?
Yes, in the stairwell in the north building, on the M wing, middle stairwells, and in the south building, on the N wing, middle stairwell.
Okay, wait, say it again.
North building, and the M middle stairwell, and in the south building, the N, north building. The middle one, right behind the front desk.
And so I want to talk just a minute about that. So this is sort of our NASA approach to emergency power. It's redundancy. It's our 3rd level down. So if we lose power, the generator is supposed to kick on. It will power the emergency lights in the stairwells. And what we discovered is that's great unless your generator goes down as well as your main power, and then you're dealing with darkness. And so there were 2 core center of the building stairwells that have interior, exterior entrances, and we decided as a 3rd layer of protection, let's go ahead and put in battery operated emergency exit lighting so that if we lose both levels of main grid power and our emergency generator power, we have a safe area where residents will be able to access upper and lower floors. And so that was our thinking behind it, and that's accomplished, and I hope we never have to use it, but it's good to know it's there if we need it.
I have a question. Our air conditioner has to be have new refrigerant put in it every 2 to 2.5 weeks. I understand there is a unit with our name on it. When can we expect to get it?
So the question is Judy has had a faulty air conditioner for months, and we've been nursing it along, and that's our approach. It doesn't have to do with COVID. It has to do with August and September. The 2 hottest months of the year are August and September, and we hate to put air conditioners in August and September. It's an inconvenience to our residents. It's a painful process. You have to be out of your apartment. We have to relocate you. It's not comfortable. And so we delayed, after talking to Judy, agreed to delay that. As soon as the cool weather hits, we can get it scheduled. So my personal recommendation is I would wait another couple of weeks just to get COVID behind us, to get these hurricanes behind us. This cold weather is beautiful, but may not last. And so I'd wait a couple of weeks, and then I'd call Darwin and get that scheduled. We're ready to go when you are. I want to speak just a little bit about air conditioners on a broader scale. One of the things that's happening with Regency Oaks is a lot of these 30-year-old air conditioners are beginning to fail. and we've just had a really tough summer with failures. Anyone who has lost an air conditioner knows that we keep a supply of air conditioners on hand, an inventory, and if you have a left or a right or a central return, we keep one or two of each. But unfortunately, when they built the building, there are some apartments that left, center, or right air conditioner won't fit. They're custom made, and those custom made air conditioners take 12 weeks to deliver. So we put our heads together and said, okay, we got to come up with a plan for this, and so here's what we've included in our capital budget for next year, and that's making sure that on a quarterly basis, we're buying 10 to 15 units, hallway and apartment units, building up our par level of inventory so that we're going to have a better chance next June or July when the heat of summer hits. We're going to be better positioned to provide service to you if in fact your air conditioner fails. Now, one of the other things that we did later this year that really changed the go-forward dynamics for the community is every single turnover, unit turn, when someone moves out and we sell the unit and somebody moves in, we're looking at those air conditioners. If it's one of those old 30-year-old air conditioners, we're ripping it out and just replacing it. So just a couple of updates on that. Thanks.
Before the pandemic, I'm going to push it here to educate our residents about the fact that Florida does not allow people to park in handicap parking overnight. And in fact, we have to live where we can see what's going on up there. And the security would go around and put warning tickets on their windshield wiper blades and so forth. And finally, they got that cleared up. However, I don't know if it's just because of the painting project that's going on or not, but for the last 2 weeks, there have been 2 cars parking in the handicap parking sign by the entrance to the south building overnight. Are we still worried about that?
So the question has to do with overnight parking in a handicapped parking space. And the observation is because of all the painting that's been going on in the south building, we've seen some people parking in handicap parking overnight. I would encourage you not to do that. This is a Pinellas County rule and regulation, and it's not that they enforce it or don't enforce it, but they have enforced it in the past. And they enforce it not by giving you a ticket, but by towing your car. And I can remember we had a North Building resident, and we had talked to him about it, and he said, "No, I don't have to do that. No one's going to tow my car." They came out. We didn't call it in, but they came out and towed his car. And he came down to complain to me about it, and I said, "Look, I didn't tow your car. The police didn't tow your car. It's a Pinellas County regulation. Don't park in a handicap overnight." He continued to park in a handicap overnight, and he got his car towed a second time. So I'm not going to call and report a resident that if you're parked in handicap parking, but at some point the police do drive through, and if they see it once, they may overlook it. If they see it with a regularity, I think what happens is they call the tow company, and your car will not be there in the morning when you wake up. So, and if that happens, don't come see me.
Okay, my question is for Perry. He's right here. Okay, back in the good old day, we had ambassadors, and they would meet with the prospective residents. Are you still doing that during COVID?
Great question, thank you. Yes, we actually just had an ambassadors meeting in the last week. Obviously that had sort of, those activities had sort of simmered down during the COVID, but we have, our ambassadors group did meet again just recently, and we are starting with more marketing events that we're doing, so we will be ratcheting that up and being more active in that. In fact, we have a marketing committee meeting next Wednesday that Judy Studebaker chairs, and some of the items on the agenda are exactly this, to talk about next steps going forward. So absolutely, thank you.
Any other questions? I have one quick, here we go.
Oh, I don't need that.
Yes, you do.
I
Yes, you do.
I have a small request, that we please have water on the fourth floor card room. A lot of times the water is not there, and we have to have water for the older residents. And we're playing cards there quite often. We called a couple times and it's never been brought up.
So right now, the question is, fourth floor card rooms, why do we not have water? There's a tank, it's never full. And we are currently not filling those water tanks. Water fountains, the bubblers, are still closed off, and the water tanks like this are only allowed in high capacity areas. And it's a volume issue. If you're in a small space, we don't want you using that. We don't want people gathering. We don't want shared surfaces. We don't want touch contamination. And so currently, that's a restriction that is still in place. We hope to be able to remove it, but it's still 30, 40 days away.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, the problem I think is the water tanks, because I've seen residents filling up their own water tanks, and I don't think this is very sanitary, or it shouldn't be done.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, great point. I wouldn't drink water from a bubbler. I don't drink water from a bubbler. I won't go anywhere near it. They are a high risk contaminant because of all the different people who touch it. And so let me encourage you, don't be using a bubbler. I mean, it just doesn't, it's not a good safety practice, and I completely concur.
Are the charitable organizations allowed to come yet to pick up stuff we don't want? They can come to the apartment?
Yes, and so the question is, if you have something that you're trying to get rid of, can you call one of the charitable organizations and arrange to have a pickup? Yes, you can. There are vendor protocols that they will need to check in at the front desk. They will need to submit to the question and the temperature checks. They'll be restricted as to what door they can use. But yes, we are allowing those outside vendors in as long as they follow our protocols correctly.
I just want to add to that for quite a...
Mike.
I would like to add to that, for quite a long period of time, these charitable organizations were not willing to come out to any of the senior housing communities. So I would call them first. You need to call them to set something up, but confirm with them that they are willing to come to our community to make that pickup.
One quick announcement on behalf of RORO. The Regency Oaks Technology and Communications Committee is putting out a new computer survey. It'll be in your box in the next few days. Please fill it out and turn it in to your front desk. This is very important because it lets us know what kind of skills that we need to put together to help the residents and if they need help with their computer. If there are no other questions, I think we're through now.
All right, thank you all very much. We appreciate the turnout. Thanks for coming.